Alright, we'll be okay. Starting another one real quick. Right. I got a lot of time here for this one, so this is the Projecttian here. I've been at this for 8 years. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like down, on the video, leave a dislike if you hate the video. This will be a short interlude of a video. Now, I've made a response towards Creedcraft, DJ Monopoly, State, YouTubers in general for content creation scene around Roblox. I will say, I think a lot of people saw what was coming in 2024. I simply don't think they cared enough because it happened in another country. And as much as I hate to be that person, I hate to break it to you, but basically nobody gave a shit until it was too late. Look, there are a lot of people out there who I know who basically said, hey, it's in that country, what's it have to do with me? I want them to now repeat that inside their head and then repeat it to my face and see if that statement holds. Because not only did they say it didn't matter because it didn't happen to me, not only is that selfish, hypocritical, slow, retarded, and absolutely out of touch, I've been telling you all a long time ago, I told you so. It's gonna happen to them, then it'll happen to people closer by, then it'll happen to your friends, and then it will happen to you. Because as long as people are continuing to do that behavior and continuing to ignore things that they think they don't like because they say so, not something strategically or logically sensed, but just because they say so, and because they feel like they can do that, well, look at the gasoline prices. It took gasoline prices and mass genocide to get us here. For everybody to start caring. There's a lot of people I would name who technically said, Fizz, nobody gives a shit, and now they do. I can't look into their eyes because there's too many of them. There's too many people I would call out. But Roblox creators in general, I want to call out real quickly. So, it is right now May 12, 2026. I'm on 7-day countdown towards me turning 21. Alright. It doesn't take a 21-year-old kid, right, like me, and I'm not a kid, I'm an adult, right, but I'm gonna say this as an example. It doesn't take a 21-year-old with full bachelor's degree to know that the political system, the socioeconomic behavior, the very stock trade that's going on, the insider trading, the pure political finance, the corruption that's going on, the genocide, the war, the unemployment crisis, the Gen Z revolution, the global censorship war. It doesn't take somebody that intelligent to notice that that's all going on and notice the right-wing echo chamber growing, because since 2023, Elon Musk has been clearly saying, I want to rig the algorithm and make it for right-wing extremism. That's been on the rise since 2023. I've seen it all, right? I've noticed it. I pointed it out. I didn't do enough. Look, let's first do something that I barely do on the videos, but I still do. Let me admit, in 2023, I should have spoken more about these things. Yes, absolutely. Call me out on it. Absolutely. I should have said something about the government in 2023. A lot more, with a lot more detail. I don't think I did enough. I clearly think that in 2026, I'm doing more, but I don't think I'm doing enough. Because if Annapolis Luna is still not noticing me to the fullest extent yet, she still thinks I'm somebody who bothers her and her team, I need her to fully see that I'm a threat to her. Because, as long as we get her to start getting scared of me, I think good things are going to happen. Especially with the Democrats that are basically saying, hey, Florida, we're coming for you. They're all scared of Democrats taking over Florida, because in Florida they passed that gerrymandering map I told you all about literally a few days ago, when Ron DeSantis said, guys, this is the most genius idea ever. The same man who I literally shook hands with, who I met years ago when I was in high school. Isn't that insane? Crazy, right? Crazy. And his term is ending, so yeah, and he's trying to pull a fast one on us, and he did it with no vote. I saw this post on Instagram, which by the way, people are saying, wait, you use Instagram? Yeah, who knew? Back then, past me would have said, you would have never used Instagram, Viz. I'm like, true, because most movements in 2023 didn't even exist yet, and very few were not as open as to Gen Z revolutionaries just yet. They were there but very few. A lot less people were interested in such because they didn't think that the world needed this massive reform to be going on. That was a thing, but that was very limited, and lots of content creators back in 2023 and 2024 were just not in the game. They were just out of touch. They were making gaming content while everybody was talking about the Joe Biden presidency, the world and geopolitics, and the music scene, which, by the way, since 2023, music scene has since got worse. In Florida, 2023, I think things were going quite well in certain areas of Florida, and in certain areas of Florida, things were not going well. Whole story on its own. So, most creators that are just basically compliant with these things, like complacent, are not only avoiding their issues, they're avoiding world issues, or basically not doing their job, or not telling their friends that, hey, there's a whole world battle that's going on. When people clearly don't do their job with like using their millions of followers to point out these world issues, I see somebody who's scared, who's basically a pussy, who's also a dumbass, and probably is too scared to use their millions of dollars that they accumulated from children's watching their stream. When they don't use that to their utmost of behavior like we did, I could, for example, showcase a video of a YouTuber named Greekraf, and I will always use him as an example, who went to court, yes, went to Congress about COPPA, which COPPA was for the very suppression of media back in the day in 2020 and 2019. People were absolutely losing their fucking mind over it. This was a thing that, well, Pat talked about, right? Matt talked about long ago, like Game Theorist. The Game Theorist said, this is horrible. PewDiePie spoke on it. I spoke on it. Every creator you knew in 2020 spoke on it. And we were like, oh my goodness, content creators are actually talking about government. And I thought that was a crazy cool thing. We can do that. Let's use social media for these good things, because Donald Trump gave us hell since 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. It left us in this shitty environment. Joe Biden fixed it, then he broke it in less than a year. But, you know, now that with this current scene now these days, people are like, this, I don't think I should talk about politics. It's just not my thing. I think it's just really dividing and it's controversial. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Let me list a few of the things that content creators are scared of talking about, because they think it's political and controversial, but this actually happens to be related to how their content and their audience is going to be like within the next few years. They clearly couldn't give a shit until their money and their career is affected. So we're going to put it on the screen for you because I feel like people need to see this. And I'm going to open this in a note somewhere. I'm going to name it right here. Okay. This right here is a list of everything that is related to the government. And again, let me tell you. Alright. Here's a list of the things that we need to pay attention to. Alright. They're broad descriptions, but can be further expanded on in a whole different video. But I have a reaction video I'm editing soon, and I need to put my attention to that first. So, let me first explain to you why this is not just political, you dumbass retards. Alright? The ones who are scared of talking politics. This is not just politics anymore, you twinks. Alright? And for the women out there who are also in denial of this and saying, I can't do that because I'll lose followers, that's the purpose. If you start talking about things that have logic, that are factually proven to be true, and you lose followers because you happen to know factually proven true statements about the government and your surroundings, then all those viewers who are extra, who came in to watch your channel, were a bunch of maggot, retard, dumbass, mustn't fuckers. Right? They're not real viewers. You treat it as business, Creekcraft treats it as business, Ibella, Steak, Jinxie, Aiden Ross treats it as business. Alright? So this is not something that you should go say, but I'll lose followers over it. I have never lost a follower on my channel since that made me lose subscribers faster than I earned subscribers, because I knew all my viewers were a bunch of 20-year-old people who were grown-ass people who at least knew that I'm extremely open about what I think and what I see on the internet, especially knowing what such content is on the internet, because I think it is essential that a content creator at least know what they're fucking talking about for once, and not ranting about Fortnite and thinking about clips and sex pesting girls on the street, alright? Which I don't fucking do. Here is every single bad thing we need to focus on. That is, yes, happening to relate to governments around the world. I don't want to hear the bullshit around, oh, it's too political. Yes, it is. It is political. Genius Act is a crypto regulation. Screen Act is an AI regulation. Grok AI is an artificial intelligence mecha Hitler. EU chat control is a surveillance scheme. EU age verification is a censorship scheme. Shadow Dragon is an enforcement surveillance. POSTA is the Kids Online Safety Act. SocialNet is a government surveillance scheme. Persona is a data collection service. OSINT is an open source intelligence. COPPA 2.0 is a censorship scheme. EU Chat Control 2.0 is a future surveillance act. The Texas App Store Accountability Act is a censorship surveillance act. Foundry is a corrupt surveillance software. Gotham is a corrupt military surveillance. IPAC is an American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Yes, these are all political, you dumbass Muslim fellers. Citizen Act, Cyber Vigilante Software, Mobile Fortify Facial Recognition Scheme. LexisNexis is a corrupt data broker. Clearview AI is an AI data surveillance base. RELX is a corrupt information company. The PRISM program is a surveillance intelligence scheme back in 2007 and 2013. Section 7.2 of the FISA Act is a controversial government intelligence tool, which, by the way, is being voted on and is being denied by Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. And just so you know, they're both Democrat and Republican. They have fucking brains. ICE 287G is a data broker loophole. Anti-Corruption of Public Morals Act is the universal sexual content ban. ACE Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment is an anti-piracy scheme. Make Health Great Again is a medical scam. Instacart is an algorithmic pricing scheme AI service. Paragon is an Israeli surveillance spyware. And Paragon, I'm coming for you. Kids Internet and Digital Safety Act is a censorship surveillance master bill. Online Safety Act 2023 is an online social media censorship bill. Clearview AI is a surveillance AI. Stop Online Predators Act is a surveillance bill. And that's just to name a few that I currently know, because these are just laws, bills, services, programs, softwares, and committees and agencies that exist that I could name out to you that are things you can fundamentally go against, right? You can fundamentally go against these services. But there are evil people out there who exist to keep these things in place, that keep these things in roll, in check, and funded to make sure you suffer as much as you do. We are currently 7 days away from my birthday, and I can't handle one day without seeing a content creator being a pussy, as much as they want to call me gay, pussy, mentally ill, autistic, or whatever thing that they pick up. These content creators who are supposed to have tens of thousands of dozens of dollars coming into their paycheck, with me having zero coming in for me. Me having a minimum wage job was able to do more of a difference than a guy who earns $1.2 million a year. Let me remind you that I was able to make more of a difference than a person who earned more than $1.2 million a year. With $100 to $400 a month I got from working at my minimum wage job, while doing high school and running this channel at the same time in 2023, 2024. It's that simple. All it takes is organizing. If you are going to pussy out of this, and you want to say, oh, I want to mind my fucking business, alright? I will not write you in history. I will not put you in the history books. You'll be left out, as you deserve. The ones who continue to refuse and be compliant to these very things that are going on, especially when there's this many things I can list that we must go against. You are a coward. Simply. You're just not interested. You're out of touch. You think you know everything, but you are nowhere near close to knowing as much as everybody else does who happen to have cared to be putting their face in front of adversity to go do the thing that we are doing. When I put my face in front of these horrible people, I'm doing it because I give a shit. And so when you don't give a shit, somebody has to give a shit. And I don't want to hear any of you guys whenever you get back and the world suddenly returns to normal because you seemingly ignored everything around you because you're able to afford to go on vacation and go to Puerto Rico and buy a $5 million house like Major Taylor Greene did. I don't want to hear you claiming yourself as a hero. You will not be remembered as a hero. People know you as a content creator, and they leave you. They abandon you, and they forget about you because that's how forgettable you are. When you don't involve yourself in history that basically is writing itself as I'm speaking, I want to hear you all say, the world was always okay. The world was fine. There was no issues. Look, I don't see inequality. That's because somebody lost their life fighting for this country. In other countries, which by the way, it was the United Kingdom that started this. United Kingdom that did this all. The European Union and the United Kingdom started this. They did it, and then other countries followed suit, along with Brazil. Brazil, United Kingdom, European Union, we're coming for you. They started this. Then it came to the United States. When we were all compliant, we watched him while you were sucking cock of somebody else and doing a dick pussy type of behavior and bitching around about who cares about you and who follows you and your drama and all your shit there. Talking about how this guy sucks because he said this thing up on my face rather than talking about actual government world issues. Well. You missed out on a whole ton of history because you could have been part of it, but all you did was be that guy who said, I'ma call it out. I'ma call it out, guys. This is a controversial thing, and I think everybody cares about it. You were only the guy who called it out, but you're not the guy doing all the action. Like going to Congress, protesting, organizing, and talking to people who basically genuinely care. And those who don't care, well, we're gonna force them to care because I don't think we have a choice. Because if they're rigging the elections, gerrymandering, arresting people for criticizing the government of the United States is the very largest example of government that every country in the world follows the steps in. So when we become a dictatorship, every other country in the world we're like, well, if the United States becomes a dictatorship, we can become a dictatorship too, because they won't threaten to take over our country when we decide to pull mutiny on our citizens. And when the country was not a dictatorship, when we're not a dictatorship, we've shown that democracy still stands, even through darkness. Well. They can't pull off those things, and we don't have this global issue at mind. That's all I have to say. Yeah. It's a bummer. It's a bummer, you know. There's more I can list. I'm not tired. Look, it's been a thing in my entire life. Since as early as I can remember that I wanted to do something about my life. As far as back as I wanted to make a difference. This has always been something I wanted to do. It's become part of history, and I am becoming a part of history, so I just generally don't like what the content creation is doing. Content creation scene is doing. It's just horrible. It's discerning. And Simiku. I'm not gonna say it. Just leave it be.